Good evening. As it's getting close to Halloween, I thought I'd read something a little spooky for you this evening, and we will be hearing The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. This is one that a lot of American students get in high school, but I think that often it's not taught right, or we don't get the chance to appreciate it. Too often kids read it as opposed to speaking it, and you really don't get the sense of how fun it is to read, just the melodramatic nature of it and the way that the words just kind of flow nicely in and out, almost like the tide. And yeah, I hope you enjoy hearing it live. Now, tonight I'm breaking slightly with tradition. I didn't feel like having a marshmallow this evening, so what I thought I would do instead is roast a mini pumpkin. This is one of my favorite treats, especially at this time of the year. I like to take a little pumpkin and hollow it out, just scoop out the seeds, and then I save those for toasting later on. And I put a little bit of butter and a little bit of brown sugar and maybe some nutmeg or cinnamon or cloves. This evening I've just sprinkled some cinnamon in there. It's already mostly baked because it takes quite a while to bake a pumpkin. But what I'll be doing is just setting it nicely down here in the fire so it can get nice and toasty for me by the time I finish this poem. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to the still beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating them no longer. "Sir," said I, or "Madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you." Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then where thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven. Ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, Other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, Nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, Doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast, and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of nevermore. But the raven, still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door, then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, Nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent, or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, Nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul, from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. That's a poem that I didn't care for much when I first read it way back in high school because it was just given to me in a book, and then I just kind of read it dry. And I didn't really understand at the time that you're supposed to read it out loud and just, let that goth that lives within all of us out. I mean, some of us manifest that with fashion, but I think deep down inside all of us, we've all got histrionic sorrow in our soul that needs to come out in over dramatic ways. And yeah, anyway, so that's a poem I really enjoy. And now it's time for me to enjoy my pumpkin. It's been hissing and spitting as some of the butter has escaped. So I think that, oh goodness. Oh my. Oh, that's very hot. Oh. It's perfectly cooked, but the foil did split just a little bit. Hazard of the trade. If you've never had a pumpkin this way, I strongly recommend giving it a go. You can just do it in the oven. Just get a bit of foil, wash the pumpkin, scoop out the seeds, and then just put in a little bit of butter. I don't actually measure when I make it. I just kind of put in a few pats of butter, just enough to, make it nice and moist. And then sprinkle in a bit of brown sugar, not too much. You don't want it to be sickly, just enough to kind of caramelize and sweeten. And then a sprinkle or two of, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. And it comes out beautifully. I think this makes a really nice dessert at this time of the year. And it's also a really good way to trick children into eating vegetables and thinking that it's dessert. Let me know if you've ever read The Raven before, or if, like me, you were forced to read it in school and that made you think that it was just some boring poem about some dumb bird. Let me know what you think the bird is. Do you think it relates to anything? I mean, I grew up hearing a lot of Scandinavian folk tales and things, so I always instantly connected the raven with Odin's two ravens, thought and memory, because they were plaguing the narrator with thought and the memory of this girl that he'd lost. But I don't know how much Edgar Allan Poe knew about that, or if he'd studied Norse mythology at all. I have no idea. At any rate, I would love to know what you think about this poem, and I'd also love to know what your favorite way to cook pumpkin is. Let me know, and as always, thanks for listening.